Let's do that. Let's certainly number one was the most, I guess, contested question. There's a lot going on, right? So here we go. Let's check out number one. If you are evaluating, first thing you got to do is replace any variables you see with blank parentheses. So that's what I'm going to do. So it's going to be 8 minus blank parentheses. Open the parentheses, negative 2 times blank parentheses plus absolute value of 5 blank parentheses quantity squared times 2. Right? So there's a lot going on right there. I'm going to fill in all the blanks with the appropriate variables. So x is negative 1. That goes there and there. Y is 4. That goes there. So far, so good? Okay, so you got to admit that there's a lot of operations going on here, right? And so anytime there's a lot of operations going on, you need to follow PEMDAS. You can't just go from left to right. And so I'm going to try to follow that structure. So it's going to be 8 minus negative 1. I got a bunch of work to be done in the parentheses. So I'll just start there on the left. In the parentheses, I see negative 2 times 4. That's something I could do right now. So that's negative 8. Plus the absolute value. 5 times negative 1 is negative 5. So how about a negative 5 right there? And then the whole thing is squared times 2. What do you think so far? Yeah. Taking really small steps here. I think that's the best way to go. Okay, I'll keep going, working in the parentheses. Inside the parentheses, I got negative 8 plus, what's the absolute value of negative 5? 5. That whole thing is squared, and don't forget the times 2. Got a little more work to be done in the parentheses. What's negative 8 plus 5? Negative 3. So I got 8 minus negative 1, and then I've got negative 3 quantity squared times 2. So I took 3 steps there, or 4 maybe you could argue, to clear out all the work in the parentheses. Does it make sense so far? All right. After parentheses, it's PEMDAS, right? Exponents. So what is negative 3 quantity squared? 9. Positive 9, right? Yeah. So it's going to be 8 minus negative 1 times 9 times 2. Right? Okay. Well, let's see here. It's 8 minus, I got to do all my multiplication next. What's negative 1 times positive 9? Times positive 2 would be negative 18. So 8 minus negative 18 is really 8 plus 18. So those of you that had 26 are on the money. The negative 10s, I get it. You lost a minus sign. Yeah. Okay. Any questions? All right. Number 2, solve the inequality and graph the equation. There's a lot going on here. It's got the 2 inequalities. It's a compound inequality, right? And so instead of saying whatever I do to one side, do to both sides, I think you almost have to say whatever I do to one side, I got to do to all the sides, right? All 3 of them. So you guys divide by negative 2 first? So you should, or what you could do, I suppose if you wanted to distribute the negative 2, you could. If you were inclined to do that, that's fine. That's fine. We should end up with the same stuff. So negative 3 then. Well, wait a minute. Anytime you divide by a negative, whether it's the start or the end, the inequality's got to flip around, right? So negative 3 is now greater than or equal to x minus 1, which is greater than negative 6. Things flipped around there, didn't they? And then the next thing I'd do is I'd add 1 to both sides. So I'm going to go plus 1, plus 1. So it's all 3 sides get the plus 1. This gives me negative 2 is greater than or equal to x, which is greater than negative 5. Okay, so I'm going to graph this. What kind of a circle goes on the negative 2? Yeah, it's got to be filled in because it's or equal to. And what kind on the negative 5? Open. And with these compound inequalities, should be connecting. So we're looking for the number that's between those two. Wait, what? Classic. What? What can I do for you, Coy?
Oh.
It's written backwards. Like the way we would normally write it is -5 is less than x, which is less than or equal to -2. That'd be the normal way we would write it, but you could write it the other way too.
No, I get that.
Any questions or concerns? Anything I can do to help you?
Oh, great.
All right. So then number 3, if we're going to be finding the slope and the y-intercept, we probably should be in slope-intercept form. If I start off with 2y plus 3x equals 10, what would be your first step in getting to slope-intercept form? Yep, so we do this. Let's try that again. And we end up with 2y is equal to 10 minus 3x. And finally, I divide by 2. So dividing by 2 gives me y equals 5 minus 3/2 x. So that means my slope is -3/2. My y-intercept is 0, 5. And then on a graph, 2, 4, so 5 would be right there. Down 3, 1, 2, 3, right 2. I got that. You guys get the same thing I did?
Yeah.
Questions on number 3? Okay, so then on number 4, it says solve the system using elimination. So for elimination to work, don't we need to have the pattern of opposites on either the x's or the y's?
Yes.
Do I have that right now? I don't. What would be the easiest way to get to that pattern of opposites?
Multiply the first one by -2.
Yeah, multiply the top one by -2 works. So if I multiply by -2 on the top, I'll just write the result down below. That would give me -10x minus 2y equals -4. And then I always add when I do elimination. So this would give me -7x. And the y's would be eliminated, all gone. And then 11 plus -4 is 7. Finishing this off, dividing by -7, I get x is equal to -1. Of course, that's only half the answer. I need to have the y to go with that x. And so if I want the y to go with that x, what do I need to do with the -1? Plug it in. First equation, second equation, or third equation? Which one would be easiest? First would be easiest. Why, Callie?
Because y is by itself.
Yeah, the y is just a 1y, isn't it? Yeah. So it'd be 5 times -1 plus y equals 2. So when I add the 5 over, I get y equals 7. So my final solution to my system would be -1, 7. Okay, that's all 4 of them. Again, please, look at what you have, look at what I have. This is the right time to ask a question if you have it. Let me pause this real quick. What we did last week. So I've got a couple of systems here, and I want you guys to try these. I've noticed that a couple of you have already started. If you guys would, please try number 1. It says solve the system of inequalities by graphing. So we're going to do that one. I want you guys just to try that on your own. And then I want to do number 2 with you. And then I'm going to have you guys do number 3 all by yourself. So we just have the 3 examples here today. We'll move on to other stuff tomorrow. We do have an intro video for tomorrow. It's the percent, I think, right? Percent intro video would be for tomorrow's class.
Oh, yeah, I did that.
So if you haven't already looked at that, please do check that out. But for now, we'll just do some practice with systems of inequalities.
I remember learning about percents and fourth grade. It was pretty fun.
I think percent is one of the most useful things, like the most immediately useful thing we do. I think it's misunderstood. There's lots of good applications and interesting stories to go along with it. First line up there, y is greater than -3. Whenever you've got just a y variable and there is no x variable involved in the linear equation, what kind of line is it? Horizontal. Because why would I ski that? Boring. right? No fun. Okay, so y is greater than negative 3. We're going to say that's right about there. I've plotted that on the y-axis. And negative 3, it's a horizontal line right there. Put arrows on the end. And should this be a dotted or a solid line? Why? That's right. It doesn't have the or equal to, so it is dotted. You guys are right. So I got something like that. You guys okay with that part? Now we got to consider shading. It's a horizontal line, so I'm either going to shade directly above it or below it. What did you guys decide? Shade above or below? It is above. Yep. So you could test out 0, 0 if you wanted to there and see that 0, 0 does work. So we get this lovely blue shaded area. So that's the complete graph for the first line. The second line we'll do in red. And for that one, it is x is less than or equal to 2. Well, if the linear equation only involves an x, as a skier, you'd look at that and be like, oh man, if I tried to ski that, I'd get x'd out. It's vertical, right? So vertical line at 2 will look roughly like that. And should that line be a dotted or a solid line? Right, it's got that or equal to, you're right. And so it's going to be solid. And then as far as shading goes, I can either shade on the right side or the left side. Which side did you guys shade on?
Left.
It is the left. Okay. Again, testing out 0, 0 would tell us that. So shading the left. We should be able to easily tell now what our answer region is. Our answer region is where the two shadings overlap. And so isn't it kind of that upper left-hand quadrant, if you will? That upper left-hand box there. I'll shade it in a little bit more obviously. Something like that. Does that make sense? What that means is I should be able to pick out any point out of that black shaded region, and that would be something that would work. Okay. I want to do the next one with you unless you guys have a question. Anything I can do to help with that one? All right. So then this next one looks a little scary, but I think we can probably pick this apart pretty well. What is so scary about this one compared to the other ones we've done? There's fractions. What else? There's 3 of them, not 2 of them. Right? This will not change our strategy at all other than we got to do one more line. Okay? So the first one, I'm going to use a lovely green. All right, so for that first one, it has a y and an x. It is in slope-intercept form. What is the y-intercept?
4.
0, 4 is up here. All right, and what's my slope? Negative 1/3. Yeah, so I'm going to go down 1, right 3, or up 1, left 3. And in any case, I get this. Nice line right there. For that first one, should line be dotted or solid? Okay, I agree. And should I be shading on the 0, 0 side or not? I'll tell you what, let's do the quick test over here. I'll check 0, 0 in the green line. So I got 0 is less than or equal to negative 1/3 times 0 plus 4. 0 is less than or equal to 4. Is that true?
Yes.
It is. And so that means 0, 0 worked, which means I need to shade on the 0, 0 side. So that would look something like that. So that's the first line. My second line I'm going to do in blue. Okay, what kind of a line is the second line? Isn't it horizontal, right? It's only got a y. There's no x in there. Why would I ski that? Be boring. I don't know. Okay, so y is greater than 1. Look roughly like that. Dotted or solid? Dotted. You are right. Okay, so there's my dotted line there. And am I going to shade above or below? Above is right. 0, 0 doesn't work. Or, excuse me. 0, 0 doesn't work. Okay, so far, can you guys see the overlap in my shading? What's the rough shape of my overlap?
Oh, a triangle.
Triangle-ish, right? Okay. And then the last one is in slope-intercept form again. Coy, what's the y-intercept for that third line? That's right. Okay, so 0, 6 is up here. And then the slope, of course, is 3/2. I'm at the very top of the graph, so instead of going up 3, right 2, I'm going to go down 3, left 2. So down 3, left 2. Down 1, 2, 3, left 2, and there. Is that line. Dotted or solid on the red line? It is dotted. Okay, so it's a dotted line. And golly, does 0 work? Let's test it out. 0, 0 work. So checking out 0, 0 on the red line. Give me 0 is less than 3/2 times 0 plus 6. 0 is less than 6. Is that true?
No.
It is true. So 0, 0 is part of my answer region. So I'm going to shade on the 0, 0 side. Okay. So can you guys see the triple overlapped region?
Yep.
It's kind of right in the middle, isn't it? So I'm going to say that my triple overlapped region is this, well, what will eventually be a triangular shape, right? If we extended those lines a little further, that would be my answer region. So if you're shading with a regular old pencil, what you want to do is make sure that you are as dark as possible on the answer region, right? You want to make it clear. Like Chase, hold yours up.
Okay.
You see, isn't his answer super obvious? You know, Aiden, hold yours up. Aiden's answer also, like, let everybody see it. You see how it's like super obvious what her answer is? Make sure that yours looks something like that as well. Okay, Anna, yours looks good too. I mean, most of the ones I'm seeing here, it's pretty clear. Okay, questions or concerns? Okay, so then what I'd like you guys to do now is work on number 3. And while you are working on number 3, I want to hand out your tests from last time. So there's number 3 right there. And you can kind of check these out as you're working through. That way maybe we can check our answer before we go. I got one of the two lines graphed for this one. That's the first one.
Oh, I put what? I messed up too.
Did you forget to flip the inequality?
No, I flipped it. Oh wait,
I did
Did
this
I?
one intercept, but I did that slow.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, look, yeah, pay attention to what is the
I don't
x
know what I
attached.
did wrong. Oh, that sucks.
I will gladly.
That is no bueno situation.
Wait.
Why is your line negative?
Yeah. Wait.
It should be positive.
I don't know what to.
Wait, so negative 4 divided by negative 8 is not a positive?
What did I do wrong? Oh, wait. I am really smart.
One of those days.
What? I got this entire thing wrong. Oh wait, I got the second one right.
Y intercept with that slow.
Wait.
That Y intercept.
But do you see that? Do you see that up there?
Yeah, I know. I did it wrong.
That
I
Y
did
intercept
negative
right there
one
with that
instead of
slow.
positive.
Negative over a negative. Yeah, got
I
it.
know. I realized that. Chase, thanks.
Please check out what I've got up there.
No, even my equation was right. I just graphed it wrong.
Sorry.
This is a good class. Now I gotta go pick up my shadow.
Okay, question?
Wait,
Probably
you
your
can
test
keep
later.
our test.
You guys have any questions?
Thank you for admitting this.
Wait, Mr. Anderson, we're turning in our test, right?
I was just kidding from the other way off.
Okay. So remember you.
You have no clue how much fun I'm gonna have with this.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah. Give it to me.
Really? A line has a constant slope. That's what makes a line a line.
No, wait, I like it.
So if you're asked for slope, and if anything that has a variable, I'm telling you that the slope is on the x.
Where did you?
Which is
Jane, I gotta tell you this story.
What do you think of the idea for this? I think Sullivan.
So, yeah, so your linear slope is always be
And I was like, I need those.
0,
No,
7,
I forgot to switch the inequality. Stop it.
Where's the hard part? Is this the number attached to the x? Or we just want the problem?
Chase, stop abusing it. Wait, are we turning our test?
I know.
There's some-
It's like I have it all.
So the quiz is
You did though.
30.
Are we giving our test or not? You guys, what is this? Anybody got it?
Oh, good.
I can come with me to pick up my shadow.
Oh crap, I have a shadow today. Hey, watch your language.
On your-
good
Yeah, I
thing
still
that
have the
you
video
have to
running
keep
right
up
now, so
before
whatever
this
you're
class.
saying.
That's how
Wait.
I'm so
Oh my gosh, Kelly was with me when the guy came running past us, and he was like, I forgot my shadow! That was at lunch. No, that was at lunch.
Bible.
How did they not let go?
Hey guys, hey, class not over until 35, and it's definitely not 35 yet. Right?
Sorry.
So, what's the question like?
I'm excited. I've known this kid for like 7 years.
I know, isn't it? Yeah, we said
Ugh.
and I figured out.
I don't know if he requested me or not.
Because I had a picture.
It must be because we're from Presto. We're both from Presto. But he has a twin, and my friend Lucas also has his twin. So it's like, and we also have PRT together and everything. So it's like perfect.
Everything, but I can't bring my glasses because somebody broke them.
Oh God, I don't even want to look at my
On first day, she literally, Callie broke my glasses the first day I got here. But I don't need glasses.
Hey guys, don't go anywhere yet.
Yeah,
Dude, he is so.
I'm
You want to bet?
serious.
There's a 30 minute phone call. do anything. It's about.
Yeah, hey guys. Let's get 100% on the intro video, please. Let's get it good. We need to get percent off to a great start. So I'll see you tomorrow. For the rest of your day. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Make sure you hit DMR there. 0.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Very much. Appreciate it. I can tell you worked on the review.
No.
There was some good stuff.
One day I'm gonna forget my phone.
Okay, so there's definitely some good stuff. Nice stuff. Nice work. Mariah, that was a good improvement on your test. What do you think?